first down. The handoff to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, INDY. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with his second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Our pregame live stream this week for the Colts matchup, the rematch against the Tennessee Titans, this time in Lucas Oil Stadium. So glad to have you all here today. Today is going to definitely be an interesting game for a lot of different reasons, which Michael and I will definitely get into. But Michael, first thing I got to ask you here before we get too deep into it. Obviously, these two teams played each other basically 2 weeks ago. It's very recent. And there's recency bias when it comes to everything. Everybody kind of has a fresh feel for how the team plays, maybe to make some adjustments. How important is that for you, like for, say, the Colts and the Titans? How important is it to have that recency bias where you kind of know how the team plays and how to make adjustments on them?
Oh, I mean, I think it's very important, not only knowing exactly how they're going to try to attack you and how some things worked. Also, it's going to be good to know how each team will figure out their own mistakes. How did we beat ourselves against the Titans? How did we beat ourselves against the Colts? You know what I mean? So it's very, very good to know that. And it's very good to also have that buffer game in between of kind of like a palate tester or a palate cleanser of like, okay, we get through this team this way. Now we got to make sure we go back to our basics against the Titans or go back to whatever we need to do, which, first, when it first pops into my head, I'm thinking we need to make sure we adjust to that play action, because if we remember that first drive that the Titans had against us, they just chunked it down the field with the play action pass and everything like that. I don't think they ran the ball once against us. So I'm really excited to see what we do against that and what we do against their chunk plays,
Absolutely. So let's get into a little bit of the injury report. We know that is pretty extensive for both of these teams coming into today. Would you mind giving me and telling the audience the Titans inactives that we know of at this moment in time?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So right now, the inactives that aren't on injured reserve or anything like that, we have McCole Pruitt, their tight end. He's out with a knee injury. Adoree Jackson's out with a knee injury. And Adam Humphries is out with his concussion still. So those are the three new ones that we know about. We also do know about Jayon Brown and Jadeveon Clowney being on their injured reserve, including their two tackles as well.
So, yeah, a lot of opportunities there to take advantage. And obviously the Colts have their fair share of problems with it today as well. You have DeForest Buckner and Danico Autry both out today with the coronavirus. And then obviously Jonathan Taylor, a high risk potential with that, with his girlfriend obviously being contracted with it, and he was in close contact. So he's out for this game as well. And then Ryan Kelly and Bobby Okereke are both out today with injuries. And there are a couple other guys that are also on the questionable list. A couple of those names being Zach Pascal, Isaiah Rodgers, and Phillip Rivers. Now, Phillip Rivers said that he's going to play today, so I don't think that there's any question there. He'll play even with a bad foot. Zach Pascal, I think, is good to go. Isaiah Rodgers, I'm not so sure on. But there's a bunch of other names here. So, I mean, here, while we discuss that, Michael, because we were discussing it right before we got on here, both of these teams really dealing with a lot of injuries. It would be one thing to kind of say, oh, the Colts have like 5 very important guys that are out, maybe a 6th or 7th guy that won't play today. So, you would say, oh, the Colts, they have a lot of very important guys out, so therefore we can make that as an excuse. Well, you really can't, because, they got a bunch of guys on their defense out for today. They're missing Humphries. They're going to be missing, obviously, Taylor Lewan and a couple other offensive linemen today. So it's really just a situation where both teams are dealing with injury. it's time for just the next man to step up.
Yeah, this is football, man. This is 2020 football. We have different wrinkles coming in. We knew that this was going to happen, right? And it's coming up against the most important game of the year. You know, every next game is the most important game, and we're going to have to deal with this. And you know, I know a lot of people are very upset about DeForest Buckner being out, and especially Jonathan Taylor as well, and Oak. They're all important. But if you look at the Titans as well, their leading tackler is out, in Jayon Brown. Like we said, they're 2 starting left tackles. Their number 1 and number 2 are out. We don't know how that number 3 guy is going to be. They don't know how that number 3 guy is going to be. It's going to be really tough for all of us, and it just really going to come down to, Derek and I mentioned it beforehand, who built the better team, who has the better depth, and who is the better coach. It's going to be really coming down to it, and who plays harder. It's going to be coming down to like simplistic fundamental football.
Yeah, and the great thing is, you mentioned it before we got off, and I like it because it's very true, especially for this Colts team, is the depth. The depth that this Colts team has, especially in spots like the linebacker position and the defensive line position. Very good depth there. So obviously Taylor Stallworth is probably going to get the start for this game. Him and Grover Stewart, big guys in the middle. They will surely slow the run down still. And you know, with Okereke out, you have guys like potentially EJ Speed or Zaire Franklin going to get some touches in there. So I think that we'll be okay with when it comes to the speed on that linebacker core. You know, it's going to be difficult with Ryan Kelly being out. Well, let me say this. Which guy are you most excited for the guy that's, let's say, for injury's sake, Danico Autry, DeForest Buckner out, Ryan Kelly out, and those guys like that? Who are you most excited for to watch, and who do you think could struggle the most in today's game?
The guy I'm most excited for, definitely Tyquan Lewis. He's been flashing all year, and he's been showing us how good he can be and how good this year he has been. And I think today is the day where he steps up and shows that he could be a starting D end or a starting 3 or 1 technique for us if we need him. We have Grover Stewart. We have the wonderful depth on the D line, but with Danico being out as well, I would love to see Tyquan start up on that end, and I would love to see Tyquan go to work. So I'm really, really excited to see that happen. Now, the guy I'm kind of worried about is the guy that you actually just mentioned, Danny Pinter. I know he hasn't really played that much at center, right? This is his first time. I
think it's his first time. I don't recall any time him playing center.
Yeah, so I'm definitely a little nervous about that, but he does have big old Q next to him to get him going if he needs to, which I know Quentin's questionable right now, but if out of everyone, I know Phillip was definitely going to play. Out of everyone, I'm not really worried about Quentin. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but I think Quentin's going to be good to play. So I am a little worried about Pinter and how he does, especially with Jeffrey Simmons up there, especially with some of their linebackers as well. I know Rashad Evans is a monster when he comes down the middle. So we'll have to wait and see what he does. But Ballard is usually pretty good about drafting his O-line. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, so I kind of am in agreement here when it comes to the guy I'm most excited for. I kind of want to see more of the Taylor Stallworth today, be that run enforcer in the middle as well with Grover Stewart, because, they're going to certainly try to impact that defensive line this time with missing Danico Autry and DeForest Buckner. Derrick Henry's definitely going to look to try to take advantage of missing guys like that. It will be difficult for the pass rush because, Stallworth is certainly not a pass rusher like DeForest Buckner was, but the defensive ends are really going to have to step up and be those guys. Maybe Grover gets an occasional one as well. We saw him occasionally get pressure on Aaron Rodgers last week, so maybe we can see that. But the one I am concerned about, and you said it, it's Danny Pinter, a guy that has been tossed around a lot throughout his career. We drafted him exactly for that reason, was to be the guy that you could put in any position if it was needed to be that way. And, we kind of were worried in the Lions game, is Kelly going to be out? Who's going to take his spot? And thankfully Kelly was able to play, but apparently the neck injury got to the point now where it needs to be taken care of at least this week. And Danny Pinter, you're right. In the one position that would require some extra help, I mean, it certainly is good that Danny Pinter is going to be on the inside because, like you said, if Quentin Nelson absolutely needs to help out, or if they want to be able to run away from the middle, then yeah, having Glowinski and Nelson on either side of him certainly helps. Glowinski's been really good this year. I really hope that the Colts decide to continue to try to attack the outside because, Jeffrey Simmons there in the middle, we realized that last game that this is not a team that you really can run up the middle against. I hope they attack the outside with, towards either that's Braden Smith or on Costanzo, because it worked really well for Hines last time. So I really hope that they can utilize Danny Pinter in a way that they won't have to worry about him trying to take too many one-on-one blocks, because that might be a lot for him in the first go around. But let's talk real quick, because I didn't get your response to this, because this just happened yesterday, and that was Grover Stewart getting paid. You and I were talking about it earlier. That 3-year, $31 million contract with $20 million of it guaranteed. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I know you and I kind of talked about it a little bit, but give everybody as to why you think that was good.
Man, when I was first asked about, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, if I was asked, would you pay Grover Stewart now or would you wait? I told you guys I would pay him yesterday. So I am so excited to get Grover Stewart for the next couple of years, because who knows where he could have gone if we didn't want to do anything with that. If we wanted to wait a little bit, maybe he would have changed his mind. I think Grover Stewart's a great guy, and I think he would have wanted to play for us either way, but you never know. And I'm glad we were able to get him locked down. I think when we knew about the DeForest Buckner situation, we were like, hey, while we're at it, let's lock him down. Let's get him in the mindset that this is my team, these are my guys. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight till the end for these guys. And I think it was a great move. I think it's great to get him in the spirits. I think it's great to get the other players in their spirits as well. It's like, hey, you guys, Chris Ballard has been the most consistent about, if you perform, I will pay you. I will reward you, no question. And he has been so consistent with that with Kenny Moore, Costanzo, Kelly, now Grover Stewart. I mean, the list will go on and on and on, which is why we have such a large cap space. And I'm just whoever our cap guy is, because we're constantly in the top 5, top 10, is a wizard. So I am loving it.
Yeah, I certainly loved that for sure. I mean, Grover Stewart's been definitely probably the most improved player outside of maybe Tyquan Lewis, from the time he was drafted to where he is now. I mean, he has definitely made some amazing progress, and it's really great to see that. He just works harder than anyone else in the building, so I love it. You always get rewarded for guys like that. So let's talk here about the offense a little bit, because there's possibility of some guys on the wide receiver group being a little banged up. It sounds like all the tight ends are good to go, so no issues there. So at least we know we have that going for us. Right. Maybe some issues with Zach Pascal, but I mean, how more confident are you now in what the Colts are able to do? Because you had Michael Pittman's really been coming into his own. You got Nyheim Hines playing at a great level, and Phillip Rivers just seems to be so much more comfortable now. Before you get into that one, though, I have to get this. Matthew Stansbury with the $5 super chat. Bring it, guys. We banged up a bit this week, so more juice. You're right, Matthew. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm gonna bring the juice in the live play-by-play today. Thank you so much, Matthew, again for the $5 super chat. Very appreciated. So, how confident are you in this offense, man? I mean, what do we got?
I genuinely think our offense can go toe-to-toe with any defense in the league, especially now that Michael Pittman's coming into his own. I think Phillip trusts him a whole lot more. Phillip definitely trusted him a little earlier. I remember getting Michael Pittman a couple first downs against the Vikings and the Jets, different things like that to kind of get the rookie going. But these crossing routes and getting Michael Pittman into space has been the greatest decision Frank Reich has ever made. He looks like Nyheim running out there. He looks so quick with it. He looks so incredible with the ball. And yeah, he'll weave through, but he will run through people if he needs to as well, looking just like his dad. And so I am with Michael Pittman Jr. coming into what he's supposed to be and what he looks like he could be, I think our offense, the sky's the limit. Even without Jonathan Taylor, even without Ryan Kelly, I think Phillip Rivers can make those decisions when he needs to. Yeah, he's going to make a stupid throw here and there. We're going to get used to it. But I'm so excited to see our offense. I think we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and it's amazing too, because I want to keep staying with this offense here, because ironically, there's been a few things that have happened over basically the last 4 weeks, okay? Over the last 4 weeks, the Colts have really done something that a lot of times is really going unnoticed, because you talk about the defense all this time, but we're not talking about the offense, and here's a few things. I mean, Michael Pittman, first off, to continue with that, he definitely has really come to his own. He said that over the last few weeks, he's really gotten back to feeling like he's in control of his body. He feels a little more confident in what he's doing now. Mentally and physically, he feels like he's there now. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, well, now I'm able to feel like I can do things that I wasn't able to do before because I was kind of holding myself back. Well, now it looks like he's finally being unleashed. It's great to see Phillip Rivers doing that, but yet here's the funny thing. We have yet to see Michael Pittman catch a ball inside the 20-yard line in the red zone. Like, how long are we going to wait to see a 6'4", 220 wide receiver get a 50-50 ball? I mean, is that just not in the Colts repertoire? Is that just not a thing anymore? Because, you know, he's right there to be used that way, but it just seems like they don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there have been a couple 50-50 balls here and there that Phil will throw up, but Phil just decides to throw to so many different guys. Like 10 or 12 guys catch the ball every game, to where maybe we just haven't really needed it. And I know we really like running the ball in the red zone as well, and we really like doing like some end arounds, diagonals, and I loved the play call against Cleveland where Jonathan Taylor came in and just was wide open on the left side of the run, was great. So I think Frank kind of leads away from the 50-50 balls, like as like the first or second read. Like maybe go for it. Maybe like if you check and you see at the goal line, okay, it's Pittman one-on-one, I trust my guy. Yeah, go for it. Check it at the line. But, you know, I don't think Frank Reich really is like, okay, here's the play call, just throw it up to Pittman. So I'm sure it will happen eventually, because you're right. He's 6'4", he's huge. He's going to get it one day. But I guess it just hasn't really been involved in the game plan.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, you know, it makes it's different because, you know, you had guys like in the past, you used to have guys like Reggie Wayne that anytime you threw it up, you knew he was coming down with it because his ball skills were that great. And, you know, with Peyton throwing the ball, that was such a great combo. Yeah. Maybe it'll take a little bit before they get that. But let's talk here. Hold on a second. I think I accidentally got that one off. There we go. All right. And here's another thing too that really shocked me. It really shocked me over the last 4 weeks, and this is probably going to blow your mind. You probably haven't seen this stat, but it's actually true. The Colts over the last 4 weeks have been the number one offense in the NFL. The number one overall offense.
Like total yards?
In total yards. And total yards, and when you put into account the points that we've been scoring, you know, we've been averaging 31 points a game over the last 4 weeks. I mean, this team offensively, and you look at the difference in Rivers' stats too. He threw, I don't remember how many. I think it was, I don't remember how many interceptions it was the first 8 weeks, but over the last few weeks, man, he has just been putting on a display recently. And it's been great to see. I'm telling you, this offense is really starting to figure out how to get more momentum. Yeah. And it's going unnoticed because of the defense, right? We always talk about the defense, but I mean, how important is it now that this offense has finally started to maybe figure out a key to move forward now? Because right now you're very close to a playoff push, and it's later in the season. I feel like now's the perfect time that this offense gets going the way it is.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned it just now. Like the past 4 weeks, we've been the number one offense in total yards. I had no idea. When I look back, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, of course that makes sense. Phil's been playing so well. We've been running the ball for almost 100 yards a pop. It's been absolutely incredible. And so, you know, if you talk to anyone who, at least for me, the experts that I hear that are like, hey, the teams that are playing the best football in November and December make it to January.
Yep.
And, like clearly past 4 weeks, our offense has been the number one. Our defense is constantly talked about as one of the best defenses in the league. We keep making plays when we need to make plays. If we're doing that in November and we're going to keep doing it through December, yeah, we might have a little up and down because of some injuries and whatnot. But if we consistently still keep doing what we're doing, sky's the limit. Super Bowl's the limit. Like we could be okay. Like like I said before, our offense could go against any one of these defenses, and we're going to be tested against the Steelers defense as well. So yeah. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what our offense can do.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about it through this stretch of these stretch of games, right? How do the Colts handle themselves? Because they said it. You're going to have to face the Titans twice. You're going to face Green Bay. You're going to end up facing the Steelers. You're going to face the Raiders. You're going to face these really good teams that most people would have in their top 10. How are the Colts going to stack up against those teams? Only then will we get an understanding of just how good this team is. Well, so far, they beat the Titans in their own place and then beat Green Bay in fashion in their own in Lucas Oil. So far, really off to a great start. So, I mean, I really like what the Colts have been able to do so far. I hope they can continue with today. But what do the Colts need to do for you, Michael, to be able to have that sustained success? Because obviously when we saw in the first game, in the first half, really off to a slow start. The Colts were moving the ball down the field, but weren't capitalizing in key moments. And then once the special teams started figuring it out, in that second half, the offense just kept going and going and going, and then all the momentum just seemed to shift. What needs to happen in this one to ensure that the Colts win?
You just mentioned it. We keep going off to so many dang slow starts. I don't know what is going on. I don't know why we have to keep relying on our second half adjustments every game, but we have to come out swinging. We have to come out scoring. If they score with us, that's fine, but we have to at least be tied or be winning at half, because I don't know what is going on with, I love that our second half adjustments are clearly the best in the NFL right now, but stop giving me a heart attack.
Yeah, you're telling me, bro. I about had a stroke on the live play-by-play of that Green Bay game.
We just got to come out. We got to come out stronger. We got to come out faster and a little bit. We got to score more in the first half.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part too. Is a lot of these first halves, especially recently, the offense is moving down the field. They're able to get things going. Just it's been the same issue that we've talked about all the time, and that's this team just doesn't capitalize in the moments that it needs to, right? If you got a few scores in the first half, then it at least puts you in a position where you don't feel like your defense needs to play lights out every drive in order to keep you from playing.
We don't have to have Julian Blackmon clutch it every time. We don't have to have
let him keep clutching it though, because that's the only way to get him defensive rookie of the year. It's the only way.
Who else would there be? I know Chase
there are two players that are very close, and that is Chase Young and Jordan Fuller, safety for the Rams, who just had a 2-interception game the other day against Tom Brady. So, he's now getting his name brought up into the mix. 2 Ohio State defensive players about to be in the running for defensive rookie of the year. I mean, go figure. I mean, the Buckeyes defense is trash this year. I wonder why, because the majority of them end up leaving to the NFL.
Drafted.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all about just the offense being able to capitalize earlier in games rather than in later. Because like you said, in the second half, the Colts are one of the best second half teams in all of football. Honestly, you see the huge difference in their first halves versus their second halves. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, can we have that all 4 quarters? Please, can we have that all 4 quarters? Because even in the first half of the Green Bay game, the offense was moving down the field. They were moving. It's just, again, you got the fumble that Mo Alley Cox had. Blankenship obviously missed the 50-yard field goal. He said he kicked the ground a little bit, and that's why he left it short.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why he left it short. He went on McAfee's show afterwards the next day and said, yeah, I dug my foot into the ground accidentally when kicking it. So that's why I left it a little short. So, we don't miss the field goal. We don't turn the ball over, and then that first half is completely different. You're within one score or maybe something like that. Then you don't feel like, man, we got to be perfect in the second half to get it to work. Like,
That's what I kept saying to myself. I was like, we have to be perfect or we're losing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that one interception that was thrown by Rivers in that game. I hate that. Yeah, that's not an interception that was made by him.
Well,
that was blocked, Okay, so here's the inactives. Here's the inactives that we know.
Okay, here we go.
So Ben Banigou is not active today. Again, another healthy scratch, apparently. Apparently, I don't know, but apparently he's another healthy scratch. Jacob Eason, obviously inactive for today. So that means Phillip Rivers is good to go. He's fine. Obviously, Kelly's not playing today. Okereke not playing today. Patman and Rogers. So apparently Isaiah Rogers isn't playing today, but that was all of the 50-50 ones. So apparently Zach Pascal, Nelson's playing. So we got most of our guys back that weren't already on the out list.
Yeah, this has got to be Ben Banigou, Jacob Eason, and Patman are all in the same category right now.
They're just healthy scratches.
If Banigou isn't playing when we don't have Autry or DeForest, that goes to show you that they're clearly working with him for something like they did with Tyquan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're working on something with him. So we'll have to see what happens. But, weird. This was the same thing that Tyquan Lewis had to deal with. Maybe we can have that deal.
We were asking the same questions with Tyquan when this was happening too. So we just got to wait and see.
Yep. Kelly obviously out with that neck injury, but thankfully, you get guys like Zach Pascal still playing, Quentin Nelson still playing, so that's good to hear. And obviously, Phillip Rivers playing is great for today as well. I mean, it's definitely great that we don't have any more inactives, but I wonder how that Jonathan Taylor one is going to affect us. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. Now, I'm looking at the Tennessee's inactives right now, too.
Yeah.
Inactives for them are Adam Humphries, Adoree Jackson, Michael Pruitt, and then it's also, let me see here. I need to figure out which one this guy is. Matthew Orzek. I think it's a linebacker. Let me see here. Or it might be a linebacker.
And there's 83 of you in the stream. Thank you all so much for being in here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to, if you want to add a super chat or join as a member of the channel, feel free to do so. Always willing to bring in more of the channel members for the BTJ community.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then it's just two more guys. One of them is a long snapper, Matthew Orzek, and then Laurel Murchison. He is back up at the end. So they got some guys obviously off with IR, but
I mean, and here's the other thing too. We know that last game, the special teams was one of the big reasons why this Colts team ended up coming back, right?
Yeah.
You obviously had the punter that shanked a really bad punt, and then we scored a touchdown there, and then blocked the next punt, touchdown there. That's 14 really quick points. And then Gostkowski on the next drive, 3 points missed there. So that's a 17-point swing that the Colts end up winning by if we take away the special teams. What do you think for special teams today? I doubt that there will be another blocked punt because you very rarely see those. But I mean, what are you thinking for the special teams today? I think Blankenship will come out hot. Obviously, he's feeling himself after last week. And, the special teams, even though missing Rodgers, it's really been stepping up in a lot of these games. What do you expect from them today?
I expect actually the special teams to be the reason, why one of us wins. I think it's going to be extremely close with the injuries that we both have. I think they're definitely going to score with Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown only had one catch last week. That's going to change, or last time we played against them, so that's definitely going to change. I think they're definitely going to score, and we're going to have to score right with them. And it is going to come down to maybe a missed extra point or a missed field goal or some sort of situation like that. You're right. I don't foresee a botched punt or anything like that because they do have Brett Kern back. They're a real punter, so they're going to be fine most likely. But it might come down to a Rodrigo or a Gostkowski missed kick. It really is going to be that close to my eyes because the Titans are not going to let what happened last time happen. And we, knowing us and knowing how ferocious we can be, we're not going to let them come into our house and take number one away. So it's going to come down to special teams.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people say, well, if you take away the special teams, well, you can't take away the special teams. That's right. A part of the game. You know, sometimes that stuff happens. So yeah, good thing is Quentin Nelson going through his normal pregame warm-ups on the sideline. So it appears that he will be ready to go. Thank God for that. It would suck to lose Kelly and Nelson in the same week.
Oh my God.
But I mean, Phillip Rivers too. Let's talk just about that for a split second with this game particularly, because obviously they playing each other again. The recency is still there in Phillip Rivers' mind, but he was not able to practice a whole lot this week. He only practiced on Friday, but he was still kind of limited. So how important is it? Because I know I asked you this before, but how important is it for Phillip Rivers specifically having a short week with, not having any time to really practice and get the motions down? How important is it that he played this team just 2 weeks ago? How important is that for not being able to practice at all this week? How much does that help him?
I mean, that's so important. Knowing and having the recency with the Titans and the Titans defense, yeah, of course they're going to make adjustments. Yeah, of course they're going to be a little different. But knowing what we need to do and knowing the keys to the game, which I know Phillip will obviously know the playbook with like the back of his hand, it's going to be huge. And now I do want to also point out when Big Ben was out with the COVID reserve list, the high-risk list, he did not practice all week until Friday. He said on Friday he threw maybe 7,500 balls or something like that just to kind of get his warm up and get his arm a little bit back in the routine. And that game, I don't know who it was against. I think it was the Bengals, maybe the Jags, someone not too good. But that game, he had like 5 or 6 TDs, 300, 400 yards, something like that, to where he even had to ask Tomlin again. He was like, hey, can I do that again? Because that really worked out for me. So I think Phillip will be okay, especially with his age, especially with his knowledge and wisdom. And, get that toe a little right, Phil. I think he's going to be totally fine.
All right, so guys, we're going to head off here in about 10 minutes, give Michael a chance to get out of here. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about a couple players here, because the missing of Jayon Brown for Tennessee, I think, might go a lot further than a lot of people think, because he's been their best linebacker this year. Yep. What do you think that does for opening plays up when you're talking about, let's talk about Nyheim Hines and Mo Alley-Cox, two guys right there that really could take advantage of missing a veteran linebacker, a guy that definitely can play really well. Who has the bigger chance for a splash game, basically? Because I've already seen what Hines can do. Mo Alley-Cox might try to correct himself from last week, had a few issues there. What do you think?
Now, if I'm choosing out of those two, I know they're going to be keyed on Nyheim, but I don't think they can still stop him. Especially without Jayon Brown, I don't think they can stop Nyheim. So I think Nyheim's going to have another great game, especially with JT being out. He's going to be running the ball. He's going to be patient behind that O-line. And I think Mo Alley-Cox definitely has the potential as well. I mean, we spread the ball around constantly, so who knows really who's going to have that game. But with our 3 tight ends being okay and the way Trey Burton has been super consistent recently, I think Trey Burton might have a bigger game than Mo. Just because of, they're going to be keying on Mo as well, because that's Derrick Henry playing tight end, really. So I think Nyheim's probably going to have the biggest out of those two. because
Okay.
I mean, man, Jayon Brown being out. Jayon Brown has 76 tackles. The man is absolutely crushing it. He's got, let me see, he's got a sack. He's got 8 pass deflections. He's got an interception. He's got 2 forced fumbles. The man has
He's been everywhere.
He's their Darius Leonard, and so he's out this week. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So one more person we'll talk about here, and then we'll get into score predictions. So one other person, and we were kind of wanting to see him last week, but we didn't get to see a lot of him because he was on a snap count, and that is Kemoko Turay. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but in one of the 10 snaps that Kemoko Turay actually did get, he pressured Aaron Rodgers off the right side of the line, and it forced him to make that overthrow to Devontae Adams on the last play where they had to kick a field goal. If he hadn't done that, Rodgers would have looked to the other side, saw a wide open tight end, touchdown, game over, bam. So Kemoko Turay really didn't do much, but he had one pressure that made a huge difference late in the game. What do you anticipate from him today?
If he's not on a pitch count, which I hope he's not, unless, he has to be because of his knee, but hopefully it's a little bit more. I expect a sack. I expect maybe a forced fumble from Kemoko Turay. I think he's going to have a breakout game. I think he's finally back to – he's like, okay, I got some snaps in me. I got some game speed back in because, we talk about it all the time. Practice speed and game speed is so different. With their 2 tackles, starting 2 tackles, left tackles being out, I think there's no reason for Kemoko not to have a big day. And I'm expecting definitely a sack, maybe a forced fumble from Kemoko.
Hey, I certainly hope so, man. He might be on a pitch count, but Andrew DeVries for the member. Thank you so much, Andrew, for becoming a member of the BTJ community. Let me check your membership here. I want to make sure I get this right while I check this real quick. So, Michael, what do you think for a score prediction here, man? I gave a 35-31 prediction. I believe that's what it was. And Andrew, thank you for the tier 1 membership. Very much appreciated. Thank you so very much. So yeah, what's the score prediction for you today?
I am going to go on the side of a little less points because I remember I wanted the over for the last game, and I think I got it just barely. I think it's going to be 27-24.
I literally just pulled. I saw
crap.
that as you were saying it. As you said it, I looked down 27-24.
You and I, great minds think alike. I 100% agree. I think it's going to be 27-24. I don't know if it's going to be OT. I hope not because my heart.
My heart. Yeah.
We'll see. 27-24 Colts.
All right. I said 35-31. I did have to I did rub it in Tennessee Titans Weekly's faces about how I called the last one. I said it's probably going to follow suit. So I enjoy that, but
I love that. Yeah, and I love how we both were able to I randomly said 34-31 in the pregame, and you were like, "Oh yeah, same." And of course,
Anthony, be sure to check the channel and click on the join button. Maybe you have to update your YouTube. I'm not sure how that works. I know that JDW was asking me about that earlier this week. Probably have to look that up on Google. Google answer how to get the join button up there. Not 100% sure. Maybe I think certain YouTubes may not be able to do it if your phone's not capable of doing it, but check it on a laptop. It should be able to. A laptop or a computer should be able to allow you to do that as long as you have an account, which I know you do. All right, so you guys heard it here first. We all are having the Colts win today. We think we are going to sweep the Tennessee Titans. How amazing and how important that would be. And for the 100 of you in here, thank you so very much for tuning in. Now, listen, guys, we are going to have a live play-by-play for this stream coming up here at 12:45. That's already up on YouTube. If you guys want to hop in there, feel free to do so. Talk with other Colts fans. We will be there. I'm going to get something to eat, and then I'm going to get myself ready for the play-by-play. Like I said, just hop into the next stream. Michael, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, my last point, I said this last week. If you guys haven't checked out Derek's calling it, it's way better than anyone else calling it right now. The Lions call he had against Naeem, I'm sure that was one of some of you guys had. I was like, that was probably the greatest. But then no question, when Julian Blackmon knocked out the ball in OT, that was – you got to check it out 100%. Especially
that was so great.
Pulled up and having it right here with a laptop is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed that. And when you win too, it certainly is also a lot more fun when when you get calls like that. Hopefully Cody's watching occasionally and he'll get a couple of these sound bites. We've been doing that recently. But again, guys, thank you all so much for being in here. Be sure to come into the live play-by-play stream that we will have up in less than an hour. Thank you all so much. Michael, again, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Go Colts, baby. Go blue.